Hi, and welcome to week 5, Interpreting New Testament Gospels. So we're actually moving forward now. We're into the New Testament, and we're going to be looking at how the Gospels were written and a couple of different methodologies that we can use or different genres that we can engage with in the Gospels. So we have a couple of assignments. First is assignment 5.1, and it's a paper using literary forms in the Gospels, explanation, and the steps laid out in audio lecture 13, evaluate the passage of Matthew verses 28 to 34. So you're going to want to do some reading. You're going to want to watch the video lecture, and then I want you to write up your understanding of the passage in around a 2-page paper. Keep in mind, all assignments have an introduction and a conclusion. All assignments should have engagement with the Bible. They should have engagement with the reading, and they should have engagement with outside research. So the first thing you want to do is to read Matthew 28 to 34, and then look in the other Gospels. Is this part of the Gospel repeated in either Luke, John, or Mark? And then dive into how you're going to literarily work with the units of this passage to better understand it. As with all assignments, it is due Monday at midnight. Our second assignment is a discussion post. After reading Bailey's articles on interpreting the parables, find 2 sermons or interpretive works, articles, essays, commentaries, online that are focused on the interpretation of the parable of the prodigal son in the book of Luke. I want you to compare and contrast the interpretations and discussions between the 2 works that you're working and with the parable of the prodigal son. 1, what are the strengths and weaknesses of the interpretations? And 2, the manner in which you understand the parable. So to do this discussion correctly, you need to tell us enough about the online sermon or article or essay so that we understand what that author is trying to communicate. So you need to do a summary of each of your 2 online resources. Then you need to analyze them, telling us about their strengths and weaknesses. And then finally, you need to add your own analysis to theirs and tell us what you believe is the core of the parable of the prodigal son. And then I would add a conclusion that brings this all together on perhaps some takeaways that we might use in our own lives or ministries about the parable. If we do this well, then in a class of about 20 students, we'll have lots of different resources putting together understandings of the parable, and you can see that different scholars analyze the parable in different ways. So in some of your posts, I would love for you to think about, is that okay? Is it okay if we each draw different meanings out of this parable? And if so, tell us about that. If not, tell us about that. Be sure to cite your sources so students can check what you have read and where you found it. A link is really helpful in this type of assignment. So this is fun. It is not a throwaway by any means. In fact, it will probably take you about as long to do this as it will your written assignment. So I'm looking for not only some great posts, but also some great engagement over the weekend. Don't forget that next week is Thanksgiving. And so start to work through this week early, and I would encourage you to get a good solid start on your reading for the week of Thanksgiving, so you do not find yourself behind the 8 ball, not being able to get your assignments done on time. So just a word to warning, we all have Thanksgiving, we all have it at the same time. The date doesn't change. Well, I guess the date does change, but it's always the 4th Thursday, so please be sure to get a good head start. Call me or email me with any questions. And I'm filming this a couple days early. I'm back in Antigua, but over the weekend, as we're finishing up discussions, I'm flying from Antigua back to Raleigh so I'll be back in the US by the time you see this video. So grab me as you need me on East Coast time. So talk to you soon. Look forward to reading your discussion posts and your assignments this week. Thanks.